Venerable Euthymius the Great, January 20th. A 5th century Armenian ascetic, establishes a unique monastic way and steadfastly defends the Orthodox faith against heresy in the Holy Land. The life of the Venerable Euthymius the Great, whom the Holy Church commemorates on the 20th day of January, reveals a servant of God who established monastic discipline and defended the true faith. He lived in the 5th century, born in Armenia, and became a spiritual father in the Holy Land, where he guided many to salvation. Euthymius was born in 377 AD in Melitene, Armenia. His parents, Paul and Dionysia, were noble and pious, yet they had no children. Through fervent prayer at the church of the holy martyr Polyeuctus, they promised to dedicate any child granted to them to the service of God. An angel appeared to them, announcing the birth of a son who would bring euthymia, meaning good cheer or gladness, to the church. In fulfillment of their vow, after Euthymius was born, they presented him to God. After his father's repose, his mother entrusted the young Euthymius to the care of Bishop Otrius of Melitene. The bishop recognized the boy's spiritual inclination. He tonsured Euthymius as a reader and later ordained him to the holy priesthood. Bishop Otrius placed Euthymius in charge of all the monasteries within the city, an early indication of his aptitude for spiritual leadership and organization. At the age of 29, around 406 AD, Euthymius departed secretly for Jerusalem. He went to venerate the holy places. Following this, he settled in the Faran Lavra, a monastic settlement. There, he formed a spiritual bond with another ascetic, Saint Theoctistus. The two men sought a deeper solitude, moving to a cave in the wilderness near Jericho. Disciples began to gather around them, drawn by their spiritual life. This gathering necessitated the establishment of a coenobitic monastery, a communal form of monasticism. Theoctistus served as the abbot, while Euthymius became the spiritual father, guiding the souls of the monks. Saint Euthymius, however, also desired periods of complete solitude. Each year, he would retreat into the deep desert for the duration of Great Lent. During one of these retreats, he established his own form of monastic life, which became known as the Lavra. This model represented a middle way between the solitary life of an anchorite and the fully communal life of a coenobium. Monks in the Lavra lived and prayed in individual cells during the week, dedicating themselves to personal asceticism. On Saturdays and Sundays, they would gather for the divine services and a common meal, fostering communal worship and fellowship. This structure became a profoundly influential pattern for monasticism in Palestine. A significant event in the saint's life involved the healing of Terabon, the son of an Arab chieftain named Aspabedos. Terabon was paralyzed. After all physicians had failed to offer a cure, Aspabedos brought his son to Saint Euthymius. Through the prayers of the saint, the boy received a miraculous healing. This event led to the conversion of the chieftain, who was baptized with the name Peter, and his entire tribe embraced the Christian faith. Peter was later consecrated as a bishop for the Arab tribes, a position known as the Bishop of the Encampments. This miracle brought many more people to seek the saint's spiritual guidance. Saint Euthymius's most critical contribution to the Church was his steadfast support for the dogmatic definitions articulated at the Fourth Ecumenical Council, held in Chalcedon in 451 AD. This council addressed the monophysite heresy, which erroneously taught that Christ possessed only one divine nature. The council affirmed the Orthodox doctrine of Christ's two natures, divine and human, united in one person without confusion, change, division, or separation. Following the council, many monks in Palestine, influenced by the heretic Theodosius, rejected its decisions. The Empress Eudoxia, widow of Emperor Theodosius II, who resided in Jerusalem, supported these dissenting monks. The land experienced turmoil. Saint Euthymius remained a firm pillar of orthodoxy amidst this confusion. His spiritual authority provided a stable point against the spreading heresy. He taught that to reject the council was to reject the faith handed down by the Holy Fathers. The Empress Eudoxia, observing the saint's steadfastness and holiness, eventually sought his counsel. Through his patient instruction and clear articulation of the faith, she renounced the heresy. She embraced the Chalcedonian definition and returned to communion with the Orthodox Patriarchate of Jerusalem. Her conversion brought a great multitude of monks and lay people back to the Orthodox faith. This action effectively quelled the heresy's influence in Palestine. Saint Euthymius the Great reposed in peace at the age of 97 on January 20th, 473 AD. He foresaw his own death. He gathered his disciples, imparted his final blessing, and sent them to the church, remaining only with his disciple Domitian. Patriarch Anastasius of Jerusalem served his funeral, which a vast crowd attended. He was buried in the cave where he had begun his ascetic struggles. A monastery was later established around his tomb, preserving his memory and continuing his spiritual legacy. His life was recorded by his disciple, Cyril of Scythopolis. His legacy endures as a foundational figure in Christian monasticism, a worker of miracles, and a defender of orthodoxy who guided the Church through a period of intense dogmatic crisis. He showed how a life dedicated to God, both in solitude and in communal service, strengthens the Church and preserves the truth of the faith.